What up? What up? Rock on, y'all. Welcome back to the Phantom Frequency Network. Today we're talking about a personal favorite of mine. This is your boy Kenny coming at you solo dolo, obviously. And we're doing another Brendan Fraser flick, man. Airheads, 1994. One of the most criminally underrated 90s movies out there. Hilarious, so heartfelt. And like I said, man, perfect for all the metalheads, perfect for all the rock fans out there, man. If you love anything rock music, you're gonna love this movie. I'm even rocking my custom uh Appetite for Destruction style Creeperama design for the Airheads film, man. This thing is so sick. You got Lemmy up in here. I love the shirt. So shout outs to Creeperama, man. They be making some sick ass designs for so many great movies and like great horror, sci-fi, genre stuff. And they did a whole Brendan Fraser run with Encino Man and Airheads and everything like that. And yeah, so I actually discovered this film, Airheads itself, randomly. I was looking up 90s comedies at one point. I was looking up 90s movies. I was just on a 90s movie kick. And I was looking up 90s comedies. I was trying to look up some new stuff I hadn't heard of before. And I found this underrated gem with Steve Buscemi, Adam Sandler, and like I said, those guys are legends in their own right. I don't think anybody around my age group of the millennials doesn't know Adam fucking Sandler, of course. And then you got the MVP of the whole thing, someone that definitely has been on a resurgence as of late, and most people my age know him from The Mummy and other things like that, late 90s, early 2000s. Brendan Fraser, like I said, the American treasure that is. It spawned this whole little mini review series that we're doing here. And yeah, man, they're leading the charge in this film, man. And like I said before, for all the rock fans, this definitely is. And it is a love letter to heavy metal music, especially, and just rock in general from like the 60s to the 90s at that point in 94 when this was released. And it was released on August 5th, 1994, and was directed by sort of an unknown name at this point. Michael Lehman, I believe is how you say his name. And he did some other films back in the 80s and 90s, and some of kind of relative excuse me, some of kind of relatively high note, you know what I'm saying? I believe he directed the film Heathers with Winona Ryder and stuff like that. Christian Slater, Shannon Doherty, her coming up again in my in another review series. What do you know? Coincidentally, 40 Days and 40 Nights back in 2002 with who do we got here? Josh Hartnett and there's someone else that's in this movie, Paulo Costanzo, who I believe was in Entourage as well. So he's done some fairly, not like huge movies, but he's done some movies that, do kind of have a little bit of a name to him and are out there somewhat, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, and I believe he also worked on the film Ed Wood, not directing-wise, because that was Tim Burton, of course, but I think he might have co-wrote or did something. He was involved with the film in some form or fashion. So he hasn't really done too much in the 2000s, as we can see here, because a lot of his films didn't necessarily become huge hits, you know what I'm saying? Airheads being one of them. Definitely is not in the conversation of those really big, popular 90s films, you know what I'm saying? But it's hella underrated, man, because, like I said, it has such a great a tone to it of being funny and being silly at times, but also playing certain moments serious, so you can kind of buy into the storyline of this struggling band that just wants to get their music heard to the world and just wants to chase their dream and become rock stars and live it up and achieve that goal that so many of us have wanted to do in the past. I know I wanted to be a rock star when I was a kid. So everyone kind of can relate to that, and I still want to make it in music. So it's like I'm obviously still in that camp. So it's obviously very relatable there. And for anyone out there that is creative or does art, or especially music in general or in particular, you definitely can relate to this, man. And they're talented musicians, dude. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely not the smartest dudes you can meet, but they're very talented musicians, that's for sure, man. And they display it in the film as well. And they're trying to get their demo heard on KPPX there on the biggest rock radio station, essentially their world's version of K-Rock, you know what I'm saying? And Brendan Fraser's up in there in the very beginning of the film trying to sneak in as a mailman, trying to sneak into the big record label, trying to get his record record to the A&R agent or whatever, directly to the executive, actually. He's trying to break through all the A&R shit, get directly to the executive, and give it to him directly, but it's unsolicited, which means it hasn't been played on the radio or by a DJ, and they haven't gone through that whole process and that whole side of the system. So they're not going to accept it. They don't care about it. There's no heat on it. He could care less. Brendan Fraser gets kicked out, and he meets up with the boys, Pip and Rex, played by Rex being Steve Buscemi, Pip being Adam Sandler's character. And Adam Sandler's character cleans pools for a living. He's got to pay those bills. Steve Buscemi's working at a toy store where he ends up getting all these realistic-looking fake guns back in the day, and they actually discontinued them because they look way too real, right? So Brendan Fraser gets the bright idea of using these fake guns to hold up the radio station in case they don't let them play the demo live on the air, like the Sons of Thunder, which, by the way, the Sons of Thunder sucks. Good little inside joke for those that have seen the movie. But yeah, so they're going to do that crazy scheme, break into the radio station, get the demo played on the air, and the rest is history. But yeah, and wackiness definitely ensues from there. They do make their way into the radio station, and you got Joe Mantegna playing Ian, who's the radio DJ there. He's a big rock enthusiast, has been for years, been in the game for a minute, and he's the DJ there at KPPX, man. Sounds of thunder right there. And then you got the whole radio station owner, Milo, played by Michael McKean.
That's it? You're gonna scream rock and roll. You're gonna go to jail for that.
There's a saying, Milo, if it's too loud, you're too old.
He's up in there, and he's about to sell the radio station from up underneath everybody and get everybody fired, but they don't know this quite yet. And he's going to sell the radio station off to another company and call it The Rain and change it to Easy Listening. And he's keeping this all under wraps. He even has a bunch of tapes and CDs and shit of Easy Listening stuff that he's been hiding in the radio station, not telling anybody about it. So that ends up blowing up in his face later on after they take everybody hostage. And then you got some other cool actors up in here playing the side characters. You got David Arquette playing this weirdo character Carter in there that works at the radio station. And you got Harold Ramis that pops up in here.
This is hot. You guys are the hottest thing since Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Marky Mark, man, that guy sucks.
Okay, forget Marky Mark.
As a undercover cop trying to act like he's a radio exec, or a record exec. You got Ernie Hudson up in here. Ghost motherfucking Busters, yo. Ernie Hudson up in here playing one of the main cops trying to ease the situation and bargain with the crazy terrorist peoples, otherwise known as the Lone Rangers.
Out of fire, you do what's necessary to get the job done. You don't break the law, but occasionally you bend it. When that time comes, son, you improvise.
Which, how the hell do you pluralize Lone Rangers, man? So fucking stupid, man. So funny. And then, yeah. And then you also got Amy LaCaine playing Brendan Fraser's character Chaz's girlfriend, Kayla. And you got another team up here from before because these two previously worked together as a couple on his film School Ties from 1992. My previous review that I did. So make sure you click that card up there and get on that one and check that review out after this one. But yeah, these two work together as a couple on that film, so it's cool to see them work as more of a cool type couple, and this one is rockers, you know. And Kayla's fed up with Chaz not having any direction in life, not having a job or income at the moment, and just chasing some dream that really to her seems like a pipe dream. Even though they have talent, she doesn't take him seriously in the fact that they can make it as musicians full time and make it their career. So she throws him out of the apartment. He's down on his luck. They're on the ins and outs and all that. And you got this whole love story that's boiling under the surface there. She ends up having to bring the other copy of the record to the actual station because the one they played, which was actually a reel-to-reel tape, got fucked up with their old reel-to-reel player they had. So they had to get the cassette from his girlfriend and play that version instead. And that ends up getting pissed on, ran over, all kinds of shit on the way to getting to the radio station. But once she gets there, you know, she gets it to them, and they end up playing it on the air for like not long. They don't even end up playing it on the air because the radio exec comes in because the more crazy they are with the cops and making all these crazy demands and pleading insanity and doing all these crazy stunts in the front of the radio station, attracting attention, you know, all the kids and all the rockers and everyone's coming out to support this crazy band, the Lone Rangers, and it all turns into a whole big publicity stunt, essentially, that ends up working in their favor because the record exec from earlier in the film hears that his name is being put out there on the radio when Chaz is giving his whole big speech, and then he comes down to offer them a record deal regardless of actually hearing the tape, because they have so much heat on them and publicity going with this thing that they're doing, because no band has ever done this before. And just in case y'all are wondering, and in case you haven't Googled it by now, I don't think any band's done this before in real life, obviously. So this would be a huge fucking deal, huge publicity in the mid-90s, way before the social media internet game was taking off. This shit was huge. So he's trying to cash in on it, get him signed, make him shoot some video out front of the station and everything, have a crew, bring in the gear and everything, and have them lip sync for the music video, and Chaz and them say, fuck that, we're playing it live. Where's the power? Turn on the power. And they start playing live. You know what I'm saying? It's so much fun, man. And like I said, there's just so many wacky, fun scenes up in here when they end up actually using the fake guns and shooting the hot sauce at Milo and shit, tying him up to a chair, and he has to try to wheel around to try to escape. And then you got the guy that plays Kramer on Seinfeld up in here, is one of the people that works at the radio station that has to work all the rest of the weekend. He's sneaking around in the air ducts like he's John McClane, trying to stay hidden from these dangerous musicians, as he thinks. And then he ends up gets called on to work with this crazy SWAT cop outside to be his man on the inside to try to take him down, which is already ludicrous in and of itself. That guy's eating shit left and right and can't get nothing done. He ends up trying to shoot at him when he ends up dropping the gun or getting the gun taken out of his hand, and the Uzi goes off and shoots off everywhere, and they think that Chaz and them got real guns. So the shit just keeps getting even crazier and crazier, man. Like, you got so many fun little, like, cameos in there like that. You got the late great Chris Farley pops up in here as O'Malley's sergeant. So you got some fun cameo stuff going on there, man. And like I said, for anyone that's a rock fan, even in the slightest, you're going to enjoy all the Easter eggs, all the references, and all the conversations that go on in here. You know, whose side were you on when Van Halen got rid of Sammy Hagar? Van Halen or Sammy Hagar? You know what I'm saying? Who's God? Lemmy? Or who's really God? God or who's more powerful? God or Lemmy? And they're all a trick question. Lemmy is God. You know what I'm saying? So I just love how they have so much reverence for all these legends in the game, all these great references and different hidden things in there. So you know the people that were behind the making of this film definitely are true rock fans. Definitely had a lot of love for heavy metal in and of itself as a genre at that time. And it really stands the test of time as a kind of a time capsule of rock fandom at that time, and kind of the golden era of rock, if you will, from like the 70s through the 90s and stuff. So kind of capturing that moment in time is really cool. And like I said, this is just such a really fun, hilarious movie. So even if you don't like rock music, I still think you can enjoy this.
What are you gonna say to him?
I'm gonna say,
Rock and roll! Warp speed, Mr. Zulu!
And if you're an Adam Sandler fan, it's definitely fun to see him in a side role that's still very funny, but a little bit different to what you normally see Adam Sandler do and what he became the most known for doing in the 90s, especially with the big run he had with Billy Madison on from 94 on. So pretty crazy how at this exact moment in time when this film came out, he did hit it big, just not with this particular film that we're talking about. So really crazy to see how all these actors have gone on to do such great, fantastic things, whether it's, you know, Oscar movies and blockbuster hits and all this stuff with the main three guys of Brendan Fraser and Buscemi and Adam Sandler and all that. So it's really cool to see all these different things that these guys have done, from Tarantino flicks and all this different shit, and to see how they're still relevant today and still doing big things, you know. Adam Sandler with his Netflix deal, Steve Buscemi's all over the place doing stuff, and still does some really great films too, and some good TV stuff he's been doing lately. And Brendan Fraser's having a bit of a renaissance right now, so it's really cool to see all these guys still kicking it my whole lifetime later in the industry and really doing it big. So I enjoy it. I really love this movie, and hope those of you out there that love rock music half as much as I do find some appreciation and some fun with this film, man. So make sure you click the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. It really does help the channel out immensely. We're trying to reach our 100 subscribers by the end of the year at least, so please help us reach that goal, guys. We really appreciate it, and much love to each and every one of you for checking out this latest review. We're gonna have a few more Brendan Fraser flicks coming down the line, some Mummy flavor, and maybe a couple others, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. So stay tuned, don't sleep, much love, and peace.